Good afternoon, gang, and welcome to our Wednesday webinar. Boy, can you believe it? Summer camp is upon us this weekend. It's hard to believe we are opening the doors, and we're super excited about it. Todd McDonald's joining me today, and so we'll get to him and to talk about summer camp here in just a moment. I'm going to share my screen once again. Just need to do a little refresh here on the old presentation here. And boy, I just can't believe it. It's been quite a past year, hasn't it? And we are all so excited. I know you and your scouts are as well, which is just so great. Let me share my screen here, and we'll dive into basically the latest news before we jump into the summer camp. The last final summer camp webinar of the season, which is just crazy to think about. But anyway, it's finally here. So let's dive into some of the latest news just real quick, just around the horn here, around the council. Of course, we're starting that up this weekend. We're super excited. And first of all, let's just do a couple things for those of you who are meeting or haven't checked this out yet. We do have some new safety guidelines here that you can check out at cpcbsa.org/COVID. I know a lot of units are winding down or whatnot, but it's good to kind of review these as well. Just anyway, if you're meeting this summer, even if you're meeting just a few times, just check this out. Of course, these things still seem to be in flux. So Todd, I'm sure, has other updates for us on that, or will later on this summer too. So anyway, we'll always keep this updated as we go, but please check that out. There's some great guidelines and just some great information there. You can go to cpcbsa.org/COVID for that. Also, for those of you, we'll dive into this a little bit here today, but for those of you who haven't checked out all the guides and everything, if you're going to camp, you should really check these things out. We have, for Cub Scout camps, we have one guide per camp. For SBSA camps, we've got a camp guide and camp program. You'll want to check that out just to see what the latest and greatest is on there. All the information is there. We're going to give you really an overview of this today, but all of the nitty-gritty details are in those resources there. So go to cpcbsa.org/camp forms. That'll redirect you to the right spot, and you can check that out there. Also, the webinars, for those of you who missed the pre-camp leader meetings, we have the webinars available too at cpcbsa.org/precamp. There was a lot of Q&A on those meetings, so check those out, and you could ask any questions today, of course, but there's just so much information on those. The meetings were fantastic. You'll actually get to hear right from the camp directors for the camp you're attending, and so lots of great information there. Alrighty, some other things happening around the horn here at the CPC is Adventure Club this summer. It is actually underway as we speak. The hiking challenge is happening right now, and it is ending really this weekend. But you can still get out there, get hiking. It's going to be great. So also the Scout Quest is back. If you didn't do that with us last summer, or it was just fantastic. It's hilarious, family-oriented fun. Lots of stickers and swag and lots of great stuff going on there. So check that out at cpcbsa.org/adventure club for all of that. Also, we have something new. We called it the Summer Experience. So it's about hiking and paddling and biking, all the ways you can get outdoors, have a great time, get rewarded for it, and rack up those miles. Some great information there at cpcbsa.org/adventure club, where you can sign up for that too. So that's happening all summer long. Now, for those of you who aren't going to Meriwether this summer, but really want to later on this year for your family, you can join us for Labor Day. We still have some spots available, so go to cpcbsa.org/family camping for that. We had tons of families join us last year, and it was great. It was really just everybody had a fantastic time, as you can see from these pictures. So join us, especially if you've never been. Well, you just can't have pretty much having 2.5 miles of beachfront property right on your own. Pretty much, at least that's what it feels like, especially in family camping. So check that out. Ranch camp is happening. It's actually going on right now, the first session of that, but it's happening later on this summer. So if you're interested, for those of you who always wanted to go on the horse track, we had to switch that up a little bit this year, and we have ranch camp. It's really fantastic. I won't dive into the video here because we want to spend time on talking about summer camp. So, but you can check that out at cpcbsa.org/ranch camp. That's happening from August 21st to 22nd. And also here, hold on one second. Let's go to the next slide here. The other thing that you may have missed in a recent webinar is we have some new unit planning tools for next year. And so it's some great resources at cpcbsa.org/planning. What we did this year is something a little bit different, is we actually created a Google slide deck that you can literally copy paste, and it has all the dates and information for all the events and things that are going on throughout the year. And so literally you can copy paste it, go month by month and planning your unit's calendar. It's really great. All the links are clickable there, so all the resources are at your fingertips. And what I like about it is it's really, really shareable with your fellow parents, with the scouts, and just a really, really great planning tool. And it's kind of an experiment, so we'd love your feedback on it as well. But check it out at cpcbsa.org/planning. Also, for your scout units, we've got some recruiting resources at cpcbsa.org/recruiting. And of course, all of this stuff drives people to the grit page, as we like to say, so folks can get a free adventure kit for those who are interested in scouting. So some great tools, resources. You can get some banners and things like that. Also building out some new service banners. We're going to talk about the Summer of Service at the end of this presentation today. And because that will be the last webinar of the year, of the 2020-2021 year. And we'll talk about this Summer of Service. And so we've got some new banners for that too, if your unit is out there doing some service projects. So all right, enough of that around the horn information about all the news and all the great things that have been going on. It's been quite a year. We're so excited to feel like it's all gearing back up. And I know I'm excited about it. I know all of our scouts are super excited about gearing back up for summer. And so let's dive in about preparing for summer camp. Like I said, we're going to give kind of an overview today of all the highlights, the things you really need to be thinking about. I'm going to hand it over to Todd here. And really, I think the key takeaways are just this is about staying safe, having fun, and really honing in and ensuring just a super fantastic summer camp for others. So it's going to take a little bit of teamwork as well. Todd, do you want to jump in now, or shall I keep going?
No, I'm good. You can go to the next slide.
All right,
so,
great.
I'm sure everybody is going to is here to kind of get the latest and updates, especially with regard to COVID and what we're going to do for camps. There's been we updated the guidelines for in-person meetings, but we have yet to update the guidelines for summer camp, and there's a reason for that. We're anxiously awaiting a change that we've been promised from the state about how we're going to operate. So what we know now, just so that you know, is that you don't need to wear a mask when you're outside and within your cohort. But if you have an opportunity to be inside, you need to wear a mask. And any opportunity where you could possibly intermix with another cohort, you need to wear a mask. Now, anybody can wear a mask and social distance to whatever direction, the extent that they want, and they should feel free. We want to make sure that people should feel free to be able to be more restrictive in their mitigation if they choose to, and that we hope to have an environment that is supportive of that. Currently everybody needs to do their best to maintain 6 feet of social distancing. And that is the current guideline as it stands today. And so we anticipate that specific one is what's going to change, and that we will be closer to CDC guidelines, where the cohorts together will have more flexibility inside your cohort than they do today. Also, in our guidelines, we talked about vaccinations guidelines, and so you could, those who are vaccinated will not necessarily need to reduce their interactions prior to coming to camp. There are some guidelines with what happens if let's say if you're vaccinated and you wake up the next morning with a cough or something, there may be, we'll probably handle that differently than if you're not vaccinated. We plan to test anybody that has any COVID symptoms, and then work with the counties if if those things were to happen. Yeah, so those are some of the things that you should look at. We do not currently. We also are looking at allowing the vaccinated individuals to go ahead and be able to move freely between cohorts. I mean, vaccinated adults, as long as they wash their hands and sanitize in between. We don't want you to bring germs from one cohort into another cohort. So we ask for you to sanitize before you interact with another cohort. We currently are not lifting that for youth. So youth within a cohort need to stay within their cohort. The other thing that's going to come up under a little bit of scrutiny is who manages that. Well, we are going to have wristbands for everybody in your cohort that will identify you as a cohort member. We are not planning on any marking or whatever of those who are vaccinated. So inside your unit leadership and working with it'll be up to you to decide how best to manage any vaccinations and protocols that we bring up. And it's also going to be incumbent on the leadership to ensure that these guidelines are being met. And so I have a question that came up here. If you show symptoms, is testing required, or will parents be called before next steps be taken? Well, I guess that's up to you as the leader. Either if they show a COVID symptom, they could go home, or we could test them. So that would be up, I suppose, up to you all. And these are guidelines currently from the counties that we are at. The important thing is that what we want to do, we have these rapid antigen tests, and if somebody has, allergies or something like that, we're not going to consider that a COVID symptom. There's a set of guidelines that we will have, if you have systemic challenges that, you have allergies or asthma or some other things that basically a regular part of your lives that produce these symptoms. But if we're not sure, what we'll want to do is do a rapid COVID test, and we'll know within minutes of that if it's negative. And then what we'll try to do is reduce the contact of the individual through other people, because we don't want, if you got a cold, you don't want to get everybody else a cold or whatever those things are. So and we'll work with you to make sure, but the rest of the cohort can probably go on and do what they're doing. Until we get that test done and everything like that, we'll probably hold the cohorts back. Again, some of those guidelines could change as well. So, okay, so question from Facebook. Yeah, well, the testing that we'll be doing on site, and only when there are symptoms present while you're at camp. Remember, we want you all to arrive at camp healthy. So if you're arriving at camp and somebody, has got a temperature and is, coughing, chances are we're going to say, you need to send him home and let him know when he's better or she's better before you come back up. And so just know that. But we've secured rapid antigen tests for our camps to be able to run those. By the way, those tests work really best if symptoms show, as opposed to just being a normal test for various things. Let me clarify too, is that we do not require you to test or be vaccinated to come to any of our camps. What we want you to do is arrive healthy and reduce your exposure prior to coming to camp. Each camp has got something different with regard to how they're going to be dealing with dining and things like that. And so I can't speak to that generally. Just kind of know that that we've got plans for each one of those, each one of the camps. And here's the thing, everybody, just so that you know, chances are it's going to, some of these are probably going to change. And so even as we go, so I wanted to be able to produce new guidelines today for everything I expect to happen, but my guess is that sometime between now and the end of the week, we'll have the announcement that the state will have reached its 70% and a significant change in the guidelines for what they're going to expect us to do. We are going to, however, that being said, masking, you will not be wearing masks all the time unless that's what you want to do. My guess is most of your time you'll be in your cohorts outside. Most of our camps don't have much for any inside space. So, if you think about it, you arrive at camp, you get out of the car, and you're pretty much outside until you go home, unless you eat in a dining hall. So, or you go into a kaibo or outhouse or shower. So, just kind of, and I guess your sleeping spots, but so just kind of look and expect that. All right, next slide. So we talked about, I guess one more. So as we one of the things that as things do change, as things change for camp, what we'll definitely let you know as they go. But my guess is, let's say that everything, we're up to us to decide what we're going to do, which means then we're going to set back and follow the CDC guidelines for summer camps as opposed to the state ones, which does give us a lot more flexibility in how we do things. But we'll probably still have the cohort plan, mainly because all of our ordering and program development and schedules and everything has been developed to that way. So there'll probably be some more flexibility that we can expect as the summer progresses, but we will still have the cohort program where you'll rotate around activities in a cohort and try to keep your cohorts relatively together. Some things that are possible, but not, is we could change the cohort size. We could change how we might interact within the cohorts, but please stay tuned for that. I had another question that just came up. Kids with special needs will be sending form in ahead of time. Will they assign a person from staff to assist or be more present for that individual? So kids with special needs are should be under the supervision of a known adult. So since we're not a camp that provides the leadership for our youth, what I mean by that is that in scout camps, the leadership comes from the units, and our families will come together. So if a parent's not coming with their own child to camp, which is totally fine, and they have special needs, which is totally fine, there must be a qualified, adult that's willing to help work with that child and fulfill their needs. That being said, is that we can definitely help, but we can't necessarily, but we won't assign somebody to a specific youth. We're not staffed for that. We count on people bringing their own program. Okay, let's talk about, before you come and some traps that can get you kind of bit as we go. Making sure that all of your adults have their youth protection training completed. In most cases, you can do this in your My.Scouting, but where they don't, you just ask them to send you copies of their current certificates of them completion. Again, there's simple reports inside My.Scouting for all registered leaders, but if you have others that are coming, they'll need to do that. Again, making sure you got your payments and all that stuff done. It's really helpful if you can nail it. We send out a couple weeks ahead of time, bills to you all. And if you don't, just contact 492 camping@cpcbsa.org, and we'll definitely help you with that, or call us at our number here to get that. If you have the ability to have all your payments done before arrival, boy, check-in is going to go a lot easier. So let me just say that again: take care of all of your payments before you come. otherwise, adults end up getting separated from their units while that's kind of happening because kids don't want to stand around waiting. And again, what happens if you need something from somebody and they're all halfway down the trail, that type of thing. Bring a copy of unit insurance. This is only for out of council units. And that should be provided to you by, and that would be your accident insurance policy, not your liability insurance. All the units in the Cascade Pacific Council are covered by unit accident insurance. All right, medical forms, A and B for all youth and adults. Any youth or adult staying more than 72 hours, which would be for our long-term Scout BSA camps or our Weeblo resident camps that are last multiple 5 days, all the adults will need to have youth protection training and be registered with the BSA. All right, so let me say that again. You'll need to have completed all 3 parts A, B, and C requires a doctor's signature. And A and B just basically are health history and a part in there where if we need to treat somebody, that it tells us that we can do that. Also, and remember, if you're going to be there longer than 72 hours, you must be registered with the Boy Scouts of America. So you must be able to show that you're registered. We ask units to bring that upon when you come to camp. Again, those of you coming to 3-day Cub Scout camps do not need to worry about being registered. You do need to register, worry about having your youth protection completed. All right, any special needs, there's a form that you can fill out. You can email your camp director. Just make sure that you know ahead of time. So especially if there is accessibility concerns, or if you want to have a discussion with the food service people, that you are when you're there. I'm not seeing on here, but we start talking about medicine, making sure that all the medicines that you bring are in the original containers, that you're not bringing medicine in pill boxes. Those of you that are in Scout BSA units, we're going to give you the opportunity to go ahead and administer all your own medicine, but you do have to record all medicine given to youth. And you need to submit that to us. Now that's a state guideline for us to operate. So we'll give you a form you fill out, and you'll check box to ensure that you've medicated each one of the youth on the schedule of their prescription. At Scout BSA, if you really need the medic to take care of that, which often will happen at Cub Scout camps or the like, we're happy to do that for you. And we'll have assigned times when you can come and do medicine disbursement. We'll need to have a camp roster, one per cohort, and we need to know if there's anybody changing. We really would like to, we don't want to have adults coming in and out of camp all week long, but if that happens, we need to make sure that they are arriving healthy, that they are reducing their risk levels before they come, and that we are aware that that's happening. We would like you to travel by cohort to camp. That's again another state guideline currently, so that we can reduce that, maintain the cohort plan, which is not so much, it's a containment issue, less than not quite a mitigation issue. All right, so then you got your program guide and your gear. So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Sorry, I put food in my mouth. Adult leader reminders. You got to make sure that you have 2 leaders for, well, that's not necessarily true, Chris. I'm sorry about that, everybody. You need to make sure that you don't have one-on-one contact with youth. you could have one leader for a cohort. If you have 2 cohorts, you need a minimum of 2 adult leaders in camp. So, and you need to have the ability to have minimum 1 adult leader for every cohort you bring. So I'm sorry, Chris, that's not quite right in there. Why that is that there must be supervision at all times currently in our guidelines of the cohorts. That means the adults need to go rotating around with the youth when they go do things. Now, again, that may change, but that is the current guideline, which is why that. Don't want the youth mixing back and forth between cohorts. You'll have a daily screening, and you'll have to submit a daily screening report. Again, state guidelines. We're not making this stuff up. Again, the key thing is that we need a culture of letting us know when people are sick. It's going to happen, and we're going to do our best to handle it, and hopefully we'll make it a non-huge deal. That's why what we want to do is be able to test somebody. If it comes off as a negative, then we can kind of move on. We have plans for that. If it comes back as positive, then we need to notify the county, and the county will decide what we do. We're out of, at that point, what we would do. We do have a protocol in place, but I mean, who knows if that'll survive a call to the county. So we'll let you know. All right, and then after camp, we'll notify you that to give you an opportunity to let us know if you had any kids come down with kids or leaders come down with COVID upon arriving home. Next. All right.
We did have somebody we had somebody just ask if daily screening does it include temperature checks, and is the paperwork and equipment provided to the leaders by us?
So Nicole, yes to both questions. We have plenty of thermometers, and the forms will be provided to you. We just purchased a tremendous amount of clipboards to be available to you so that you can go about doing that. We already answered this question, Chris, this slide. Did this one. All right. In your leader guide should be some information about what to bring. And in this list on the left, I mean, it's pretty simple. You're going to want to bring a sleeping bag and a pillow. I don't know. Shoot, I don't know how many years at summer camp that my pillow was my sweatshirt with the rest of my clothes thrown inside it. But, making sure that you have a pillow. The thing is probably not emphasized and should be emphasized more is that pad, P-A-D. You don't have a pad or an air mattress or something. You will be sleeping on a wooden board. Basically think of a sheet of plywood will be your pad. And so having something soft to sleep on is your responsibility. We do not provide that at any of our camps. There are some camps in the country that actually provide cots and the like, and unfortunately, we're not one of them. Make sure you bring your clothes in a swimsuit, uniform. Talk about what closed-toe shoes are. You need to be able to have shoes that completely cover your toes from being jammed or stepped on or hit things. So there are some hiking sandals that fit that bill, but your toes may not be exposed. It's best to have just your tennis shoes or boots or things like that, and a couple pairs of them will be helpful because who knows, you get them wet, and no one likes wet feet. You're bringing your toiletries, a towel, bug repellent. Every one of the camps do have their versions of bugs. Meriwether especially gets very dark at night. And so making sure that, and Baldwin will too, but I mean, especially when there's no moon, it's very dark. Water bottle will be a must. If you're going, every camp needs a water bottle. That should be, they shouldn't leave their campsite without their water bottle. Water bottle should have their names on them. Guess what? We're going to give you all stickers, so you can put your sticker on your water bottle. Make sure you put your name on your water bottle. Our number one issue with regard to sickness, and if you want to keep your guys from getting sick, is making sure they're drinking enough water. Hands down, the number one illness in all of our summer camps is dehydration. And so making sure that happens, and with the extra adult supervision, that will be helpful to you to make sure that we are communicating that stuff. Bring your Scout handbook to your awards. Ability to write on things, keep notes. Money for the training post. You will have the opportunity to buy things, and we will be sharing more about that here in a little bit. And then for each of your cohorts, make sure that you've got, a first aid kit that you bring for that. You may want to have, maybe either a lantern or some sort of light that you put on a table where they kind of hang out. The one thing that's not on here that I think is a critical item that you need to bring is a camp chair. Your life will be so much easier if you have a camp chair. We'll sell some in the training post, but for the most part, social distancing, it's just much more comfortable hanging out at night. As you get older, those of us that go camping without a camp chair, for these types of camps, you go backpacking, who needs a camp chair? You just sit on the ground. But if you're going to be spending a week at camp, it's nice to have something to sit on. All right, next slide. All right, there's several things that you can't bring. No fireworks. Some of you will be there in around 4th of July. There is no fireworks. You'll be sent home. The fire danger in the entirety of the Northwest, the entirety of the West, if you don't know this, is really scary. We're dry, or depending on where you're at, there's already, I can tell you right now, you will not be having campfires at Camp Baldwin. We just got the notice on that already, and the summer hasn't even started there. I guess Butte Creek is going to be the same. So just know that fire, that's going to be important to have to deal with. Bringing any fire, bows, slingshots, any firearms, don't want you to bring. We want to make sure that we keep our knives to pocket knives. Sheath knives is a council guideline for operating. And mainly because we had so many more injuries over the years before we had that guidelines. My guess is that I haven't heard from the Forest Service yet, but my guess is that you will not be able to have campfires at Butte Creek. The fires that we do there are propane fires, so we may have some of those available. Alcohol or non-prescription drugs are not allowed. Tobacco for youth are not allowed. For adults, the use of tobacco in and around the Scouts is not allowed. There will be areas identified for adult only tobacco use areas. And when you get to camp, the camp directors will share what those are. Electronics, I use this thing. Anything that you bring will not make it home. So you want to make sure that whatever you bring, you're okay losing. Especially if you go to Camp Meriwether or Clark. Electronics do not do well in sea air for a week. Things even like we have issues with people's cell phones going bad. So some people bring their cell phone and put it in little baggies when they come to Camp Meriwether. It's kind of a good idea to do anyway. Baldwin, they can get pretty dusty and other things. So I just know that as far as cell phones, the reason why we don't recommend youth currently bringing cell phones has to do more with homesickness and also some issues that we've run into in the past with bullying. But if somebody has a cell phone and they're a youth, then they can call home and also get inform you as an adult leader that their parents coming to pick them up before you or the campus had a chance to try to talk them into a different way of doing things. So it's just smart not to allow them to have their cell phones with them. Again, we talked about firearms, and again, anything you don't want to lose or that's very special. Don't bring grandpa's knife that he handed down to your dad and to you to summer camp. That is absolutely painful when that gets lost and we can't find it. So, by the way, you guys need to know that at every one of our camps in Cascade Pacific Council, we have both ravens and crows and wood rats, at least on the coast, that really like shiny objects. So if you leave a shiny object out, it could end up anywhere, right? Because either the wood rat, which looks like a squirrel, it's a squirrel with a pointy nose, and ravens or crows will grab a watch, they'll grab money, they'll grab anything shiny, pocket knives, and we'll find these caches, periodically of all these things. So just know that, don't be very, very careful with what you bring to camp. All right, next slide. All right, I want to kind of give you an idea of what you might expect when you come to camp. On the left are the mini DACs in most of our camps. So this will be Meriwether and Clark and Butte Creek. All of you will be in mini DAC or mini DAC-like structures like this. And we do have a couple campsites at Baldwin that are mini DACs. So you can get an idea. 2 people get to sleep in there. You can see that you literally sleep on a bunk, but it is it's a piece of plywood. There are places to put stuff and all that, and there's a little thing that comes down to give you privacy, but for the most part, that's it. And then imagine that as far as our rules go, is that on their left-hand side, the head would be towards the wall, and on the right-hand side, the person sleeping there would put their head towards the door, and that's how you would sleep in that site, and only 2 people per tent or 2 mini DAC. And the tents are the same. The only difference about the tents is that there is no bunk or anything like that. It's just you're sleeping right on the floor of that. So imagine just sleeping on the floor. So those are our 2 main types of sleeping that you can expect this summer. The tent sites will be all of Pioneer and most of Baldwin. All right, next. Thank you for putting that slide together. All right, so we have these flushing outhouses pretty much across the board. I know that Pioneer, we are still developing them this summer, so you may actually have porta potties at some of the outhouses out there. But you can see it's a toilet. If you can notice, there's a little foot pedal on the bottom there, and that is where you push to flush the toilet. It's a toilet, and it's relatively clean. And that is what all of our outhouses will be looking like. Shower houses. Oh, I should say, and I think most of them have little solar lights, which doesn't make it bright, but it also doesn't make it dark. So you can go in. I still would recommend taking your flashlight in at night. And then this is a picture of all of our new shower houses. We'll be developing Pioneer Shower House, but all the other camps in our council will have shower houses that look like this. Each is its own room. It has a toilet, a shower, and a sink, and heat and a fan. And so that's where you'll be doing. I think what we'll do is, in most cases, your cohorts will be assigned a shower stall, and you'll be able to use those together. In some camps, you may be assigned shower stalls and parts of the day where you can use your shower stall. You'll be sharing it with another cohort at different times of the day. So look forward to the scheduling of shower houses. Because of COVID guidelines, we won't be able to just open up the shower houses wide. There'll be some sort of guidance. And here is, not in every campsite, but most of our campsites will have the new wash stands. So you can see it has a covered area where we have garbage and sinks and hand washing areas for you at our campsites. Next slide. All right. I think bring the Scout Law is the law of camp. And so I want to make sure that each and every one of you, facilitate that with each other, especially kindness. I really like to highlight this. There'll be signs up in your the campsites that say choose kindness. And this is a campaign we have to remind people that we are kind to each other, and that put downs and making fun of people and the like is not Scout worthy. It's not a kind act. And it's also a Scout's role that when he or she sees somebody being acted unkindly towards acts of unkindness towards them, it is our responsibility to stand up and be there for those youth. And so make sure that we help and do all those things. Also, I don't know, I can't remember what the next slide is, but go ahead, Chris, you can go to the next slide. This also kind of is our pioneering spirit, and that is that we are definitely want to make sure that we're all going into the summer doing a bunch of things that are new. And we need to kind of have that pioneering spirit. We are trying a bunch of things new, and it's going to be up to each and every one of us to find the joy and the greatness in how to make this happen. Because a lot of the stuff we're doing, we just don't normally do. It's not part of our normal business. What I'm excited about is a lot of the stuff that we're going to come up with may change the way we do certain things, because we're going to find that things that we've been forced to do because of this, we like better. And of course, there's some things that we'll be happy to get rid of. So be part of that. And if you can be creative, if you can think ahead with you and your youth leaders and in ways that you might be able to make your evenings, since we're not going to have big giant campfires as a group, what things that you can do to make your experience better. Feel free to bring that innovative spirit with you when you come. All right.
Just checking to see if there are any other questions that anybody has. Feel free to
I do have, I want to kind of go, I have one other thing I wanted to share with you all. For those of you coming to Meriwether, I want you to be prepared for cool mornings and evenings. Meriwether and Clark are definitely sweatshirt camps. And that means that you'll wake up in the morning, you'll throw on your sweatshirt, and then you'll peel it off about 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. And then you'll put it back on about 4 or 5 o'clock. At some point, the winds start to come in and it drops the temperature down. Now, that being said, I've been there at 8 o'clock at night and have it been 90. So, I mean, it has its outliers, but in general, there's that way. And I have always found at Meriwether, Clark, and Baldwin and Pioneer, when I've camped there, I sleep in my sleeping bag, and I pull I put something on my head when I sleep. Some people use a stocking cap. I just use my hoodie, and I am incredibly comfortable all night long. But just to kind of let you know, it is definitely sweatshirt worthy weather. Butte Creek is probably our warmest camp. I'll talk about that here in a little bit. So the other thing that people are surprised, especially coming from out of state, is that Meriwether and Clark is moist. I'm not expecting that it's going to rain, but you have this, the ocean and the plants there draw moisture from the air. And so you'll notice that things just kind of get damp and things don't dry quickly. So just kind of know that. And again, it gets overcast at night, which makes astronomy kind of a challenge at that camp. And it can get kind of windy in the afternoons and early evenings. Meriwether is famous for these small biting midges. They're tiny little pescinosium flies that only exist about knee height, and they will eat you alive. But they don't exist everywhere, only where I stand. So as long as you stay away from me, you won't. So you may not need to put bug spray all over your entire body, but definitely at Meriwether, if you're going to wear shorts, you're going to want to spray your legs with bug spray, because like I said, you can't see them. And then all of a sudden you've got all these bites in your legs, and sometimes you can't even feel them. But then, like I said, you end up with these bites. If you haven't experienced this before, it's a real thing. Squirrels and raccoons are prolific. They're great. And again, I already told you about the ravens and crows. So when people tell me that somebody went into their tent and stole something, yeah, it probably was. It probably was a raven or a wood rat, or it probably was a raccoon. Hey, listen, I had all these snacks and they're gone. Yeah, welcome to the world of raccoons. They're just, they like that. So, and I guarantee if you sleep with a Pop-Tart on your chest, you're going to get a raccoon visitor at night and will sit on your chest and eat that popcorn, that Pop-Tart right there. So understanding the importance of keeping your food and everything, locked up at all times, and anything that's out can be taken away. We do not have a theft ring at our camps, but you would swear that every week somebody's going to say there's somebody going campsite to campsite stealing stuff, and it's just not the case. We do have yellow jackets at all the camps. They're typically ground-based things, and we can only find them. There's only a way to find them. Invite 300 of your closest friends to show up and run around the place and find them. Typically, our summer camp staff find them first. But if you run into one, someone gets stung, you need to identify that space right away. If you can identify where those are, and then we'll come by and get them. And so for those of you going to Baldwin, just a little thing you may want to try to do for your eating is bring some cucumbers with you for each of your cohorts in a pie tin. And so if you put cucumbers on a pie tin while you're eating, it creates a chemical reaction that makes yellow jackets not want to show up. It's just kind of FYI, a little helpful tip. Paper wasps is the other biting insect that we have out there at most of our camps. But these are hanging wasps in these big white paper-like nests. And again, they're a little bit harder biting, but a little less aggressive. So just if you see one, or if you run into those, make sure you let us know. I just want to make you aware of what you can expect out there. We also have at pretty much all of our camps, except for Butte Creek, rough-skinned newts. And so just get used to them. They're all over. And bats. Bats are good unless they're in your sleeping area. Just remember, bats are good unless they're where you're trying to sleep. So if you run, or if they're on the ground or they look sick. So just kind of let you know, if you end up with a bat, in your sleeping area, just leave your sleeping area and just let us know, and we'll come and remove the bat. And at Meriwether, especially, there's lots of walking. Be prepared for tons and tons of walking. It's a mile from the bikes to the waterfront on the service road, right? So if you want to run 2 miles a day, or on a hike 2 miles a day, or get your steps in, just go back and forth from the bikes to the waterfront, and you'll have that. So I on average, people will tell me that they do about 20,000 steps a day at Meriwether. Okay, Camp Baldwin. Camp Baldwin has got cool mornings and hot days. So you're up at around 2,300 feet. Meriwether Clark is obviously at sea level. And it gets hot during the day at Baldwin. And there's a lot of, when the wind kicks up, though we've done better at reducing the amount of dust. It's still there. It kicks up a lot of dust. So you're kind of being prepared for that. It's kind of like the one example of a place where wearing your mask may be something more. People may bring masks to Baldwin. A lot of people would wear a bandana and when they go on horse rides and stuff like that, just because the dust gets quite a bit out there. The one thing about Meriwether is that also, if you've been to the beach, don't forget when that wind kicks up, it also kicks the sand up and can hurt your eyes. So just kind of be prepared for that. The nice thing about Baldwin is it's clear nights. It's a little brisk in the evening time, but beautiful. Most nights are very, very clear. Baldwin still has just normal flies it does not have much of the midges. It does have yellow jackets and paper wasps there, more yellow jackets than paper wasps. They also have horse flies there. So, and if you haven't been bit by a horse fly, for me, it doesn't leave much of a mark, but it sure hurts. And then there's ground squirrels, tons of them out there, ravens and crows, like I talked about, newts and bats. Pioneer, cool mornings, hot days, you'll be at altitude. So you'll be at 6,000 feet, all right, which means anything that you do physical, if you're not used to being at 6,000 feet, if you're used to operating under 1,000 feet in your life, you're going to notice it. You're going to have altitude sickness, which is going to be, you're going to feel sluggish. You're going to feel dehydrated all the time. Think of, long plane rides and stuff like that. You kind of get tired. And so just be prepared for that. Two things that can be very helpful for that. One is drinking tons of water. Really helps with altitude sickness, and just keeping it slow, especially the first few days while you acclimate. The Pioneer does have mosquitoes, has a bunch of mountain lakes, so be prepared. So with the repellent there, and again, pretty much the same types of things. It's a small camp, however. It has wonderful opportunities to go backpacking out in wilderness areas, but kind of be prepared for that. And again, Butte Creek is our warmest camp. It has low shade, very, very sunny, can get a little dusty, especially now. It does have a little bit in the midges, as far as the little biting insects, mainly in the meadow. You'll run into, you'll go running around the grass and go, hey, I got some bites in my legs. Well, that's kind of what that's all about. And again, squirrels, bats, horseflies, and again, yellow jackets that exist there. So, just kind of want to get to know what to expect at each one of those camps when you attend, you go. So I'm ready to answer any questions that you have at this point about preparing for our camps.
Let's see here. I'm not seeing any. Let me refresh over here on Facebook and see if there was anything. And I will say what's great about all these camps for adults, great spots to have coffee all across the board. In the mornings, grabbing your coffee and just sitting out there and looking at Mount Jefferson or at the beach. Oh my gosh, it's pretty unbeatable, gang. It's
and by the way, I think it's important for me to share that I shared the kind of the downside of stuff because we do a pretty good job of sharing all the cool stuff in our videos and all that stuff. Obviously, our camps are some of the most beautiful in America. There's some of the things that we can do that's just going to be outstanding. But oftentimes kids and adults are not used to being outside all the time and experiencing Northwest. I want to make sure you're prepared for some of the things that are typical for those of us here. So,
speaking of coffee, we do have a question from Colleen, and she says, very important, are camps providing coffee?
Yeah, it is our plan that we are going to provide coffee. Each camp's handling it slightly differently. So I do know that we are buying coffee. Something just to let you guys know, we hope that things get better as we roll along. Across the board, camps in the Northwest are having issues with our food service companies because we all use the same ones. And interestingly enough, they're low on drivers and on some, and because of that, we're talking about countrywide, trying to get rolled back up into this. We're having some delays and so we're trying to get creative as to ensuring. So if our menu says that we're having macaroni and cheese tomorrow for lunch, let's say, and all of a sudden you're having ham sandwiches or chili, well, that's probably because we're having to redo it. There's going to be a lot more of that this summer than we've had.
And if somebody has a Dutch Bros connection, maybe portable carts driving along the camp, wouldn't that be nice in the mornings? Woo! We can dream, can't we? We can dream. Let's see. I'm not seeing any other questions.
I always brought my jet boil and made my own coffee.
Yep, absolutely. Always be prepared. Good to have a backup plan. That's what we do too. That's great. That's great. I'm not seeing any other questions here on Facebook, so that's good. Any others in the chat here? Anybody here? No, nobody has other questions, and I think we're good. What are some of the, if you want to end just with some of the great things that are happening in terms of activities and themes and things like that, especially for new parents who haven't experienced, whether it's Butte Creek or, I mean, Butte Creek's so interesting as we had the fires, but boy, downtown looks, it's all been repainted and beautiful, and just some of the things I can really look forward to. I think it'd be great.
Well, the really kind of cool thing about Butte Creek, if you haven't been there before, I mean, if you have been there before, is that all of the campsites are much lower and they're all brand new. And so it's gotten a little dusty there because we've done all this construction, but and the dining hall has been pretty much redone out there. And so, I mean, that's kind of exciting for us out there. And then as far as Clark, they're doing this this whole new theme, which I'm really excited. They've really kind of got excited about this kind of survival theme, if you will, from I keep on wanting to call it Wilson survival, but the surviving desert island type of thing, and some really kind of neat stuff that they've got planned there. All the other camps are doing their level best to make sure that each scout is going to be able to have a fun experience, and they've added things like escape rooms and patrol competitions and some other things in there to add to their experience, and a lot more of that of literally right now. It's Pioneer and Meriwether today are training for next week and on site, and a lot of creativity is happening now and will continue to happen. So I'm really excited. The horses are looking forward to be ridden. So please, I look forward to that. And yeah, just again, the thing that I'm most excited about is the things I don't know about, and that is all this innovation that's happening on site once the camp staff arrive, to develop and hone the programs to meet the needs and to go over the top of expectations. So looking forward to all of that.
One question here just rolled in from Facebook. If we need to have food of our own, can it be stored in the fridge?
Yes, you'll want to probably reach out to your camp director ahead of time, letting them know that that's something you'll need so that we can plan for that on your arrival day.
Great. Let's see, I'm not seeing any other ones. That's looks like to be about it from a question perspective. And in terms of aquatics and things like that, any new updates there? What's happening with that?
Well, at this point, you'll roll into our Scout BSA camps offer the aquatics. We will be doing fishing at Butte Creek, and obviously there'll be beach time at Clark, but not a whole lot of water time. It's creek to play in. At this point, we're planning on we've got full waterfront staffs and running waterfront programs. It'll be different. We'll try to keep you in groups by your cohort when you come into the waterfront and use them. You'll be assigned waterfront times, and but you'll get your opportunity to get out there and swim and ride boats and all that stuff to make it all happen. So
great. Colleen is also asking, when can we see the menus?
Contact your camp director. I have received most of the menus. I'm in the process of reviewing them all. Meriwether and Pioneers are pretty much done. So just reach out to your camp directors. I don't know, on our next slide, did we have the nice thing about our email address is that it's the camp at ESA camp. So it's the email address for all of our is our camp name at bsa.camp. So If it's Meriwether, it's Meriwether at bsa.camp. If it's Pioneer, it's Pioneer at bsa.camp. Butte Creek at bsa.camp. Clark at bsa.camp. So feel free to email there. That goes right to the camp director, and they can help get your menus and also work on any special needs that you might have.
Great. Awesome. So again, folks, that was the camp name at bsa.camp. So Pioneer at bsa.camp. Is it Clark at bsa.camp or Camp
Yes.
Clark? Great. And Baldwin at bsa.camp and Meriwether at bsa.camp and Butte Creek at bsa.camp, if I recall. Great. Let's see. I think that is it. Let me just double check one more time, do one more little refresh. Excellent. And we'll keep you updated also in the emails. Keep your eyes open in email, especially, and on the website if there are any emergencies, things like that. Just we'll keep you informed of all of that. So so just keep your eyes peeled, and feel free to ask us questions at any time. Any other closing comments there, Todd?
I think the key thing is that we're excited that we'll be able to get a chance to go do camp, and you know, you're going to have an opportunity to get outside. Kids are going to be able to experience all these things, and yes, it won't be the same. It'll be better than what we did last summer for sure. I guarantee that your summer camp experience at our camps will be better than it was last summer, but it may not be the same as it was 2 summers ago. But we should just relish in our ability to be able to do scouting outside and with all the resources that we have and these beautiful properties. And so I look forward to the great things that are happening, and as we kind of roll out of this COVID challenges, as we start to try to find ways back into into our new normal, just know that we're excited to experience all that with you. And I probably would be reluctant to say that, you know, if you don't know, 2022 summer camps are online. You can sign up for them now. And if you sign up for them now, it's going to be less than if you were to sign up for them after the summer. So if you can make that commitment now to sign up for us next year, know that there's a little bit of a savings, and also you'll get the week that you want.
Excellent. Great reminder. Yep. All the dates are listed there. You can pick and register. Simple pimple. So excellent. Well, thanks so much, gang, for joining us today. And all your questions are fantastic. And so keep them coming if you have other questions as the summer progresses. And join us next week. We're going to talk about the summer of service. So for those of you who are in units and doing a camp, not camp, if you're doing service projects over the summer, there are a lot of great reasons to do it, and not just to serve the community, of course, but National BSA is doing some really fun promotional things and challenges and things like that. So we'll go over that next week as well, and it'll be really fun. So join us for that, and thanks so much for joining us today, and we will see you next time.